It's too early, eh? It's just too early. Here he is, Mr. Active himself.
I tried to do a handbrake in my people mover. It didn't work.
What's up, bro?
Yeah. Have you ever tried to do a handbrake in with a foot brake?
No.
It's a bit hard. Here comes AJ.
What are you doing? Late, bro.
I legit got in my car and it was like on minus fuel.
And on minus fuel?
And I went to the survey, you know where you used to live? And it was closed. And then I went to the United and it was closed, so I had to go to Robina. So I pretty much caught a plane to get my fuel.
Do this.
Are you in your pyjamas?
These are my swimmers. I don't wear shirts, bro.
Add it up. Okay, alright.
How good is this? The Gold Coast, eh? You got the beaches one side, the hinterland, the wilderness like this. Ew. Time to go for a little swim.
Alright, we're fucking rocks. Good, eh?
Oh, it's too low. Here we go. Oh, get over there. What is up, you sexy beasts all around the world? I hope that you are fantastically well. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. My name is Wykie, spelled with a W. South African, it's just how it goes over there. And these are my active blue light blockers. We actually bought these little rubber things over in Hawaii back in 2019. Wow, that feels like a long time ago. I think they are pretty legit. It's Monday. I hope your week has started off well. That footage running through the bush into the waterfall was from Friday. I got a text from my good friend AJ at Active Eyewear on Thursday night saying, hey, trying to do a little mission, early morning mission to hunt for a waterfall. And so we got up early, I think, what was it, like 20 past 4 or something. Ran through the bush for 15 minutes, found the waterfall, flew my drone, almost crashed it. When there's lots of rocks around the drone, it often just loses its sense of direction, I don't know. It reads magnetic interference on the remote and then the drone just does whatever it wants. Rather than hover in one place, it starts to drift. It started drifting, hit the rock wall, bounced off, and I managed to bring it back and recover it. Very luckily, because I had some client work on there that I hadn't pulled off the card yet. So, in fact, as I'm recording this, I haven't looked at the drone footage from the waterfall yet, so I'm excited to see what it looks like. Someone asked in the comments, how's my marathon training going? And it's going well. I ran my very first half marathon on Sunday, just by myself. Just felt the urge to go out and run a long distance and run a half. And I did it in 1 hour, 58 minutes, I believe. So under 2 hours, pretty solid. So about a 2-hour run. And I listened to good old Josh, Savan, and Matt's podcast, a full one of those. And man, it's good. I think they've put out 5 now. And they are very, very good. I know I've gone on about that podcast in a previous video, but honestly, it is very, very good. You can watch on YouTube or you can find it on the podcast app on Apple, I guess maybe on Android. It's on the podcast store, library, whatever you call it. And it's very entertaining. Savan, he worked at CrossFit for a long time, so he's got some great insights into the history of the company, and he was kind of right in there with the main players. So there's some really cool stuff that's coming out in the podcast about the games and about Greg Glassman and Dave Castro. And then obviously Josh, being in the game for so long, has some great insights with the athletes. And Matt's getting pretty vulnerable and real. He's sharing some really cool stuff. And honestly, the more I watch the podcast, the more I'm falling in love with Matt Fraser. It's really cool with this podcast to be able to just see into Matt's life a bit more and hear a bit more about who he is and hear his heart, I guess. Often with the content around competitions, it's very much about the performance and the competition at hand. But with this podcast, it's just, it's nice and long. There's lots of breathing space. And you've got Savan who's asking some great questions. And I guess there's just some space to go a bit deeper into the life of these guys. So highly, highly, highly recommended. On the episode that I listened to on my run, I think it was episode 5, a topic came up that was pretty interesting and I wanted to talk about it today. And that is the fact that CrossFit, we borrow, right? We borrow from a lot of different sports. We borrow from powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting, gymnastics, track and field, long distance running and cycling and mountain biking and obstacle racing. We really borrow from a whole bunch of sports and then kind of mesh all that together into one sport that we call CrossFit. And there's one component, there's one or two sports that we borrow from, and that is Olympic weightlifting and powerlifting. I think those are the only two sports that I can think of out of everything that we kind of utilize in our sport that have weight classes. So when you do those sports individually by yourself, when you do powerlifting by itself or Olympic weightlifting by itself, there are weight classes. And so Josh brings up this point that he doesn't think that 1 rep max testing should necessarily be included in the games on a regular basis, that is. Sure, they can be scattered around here and there, but he feels like it's been such an integral, wow. He feels like it's something that's come up too often in the games, 1 rep max testing. And for an athlete like himself that's, I guess, on the smaller or the lighter side, he's never going to have the weight numbers or the lifting numbers than some of the other athletes. And he kind of said, if we're going to borrow from these sports, why are we leaving out, I guess, an important part of that sport, which is the weight classes? Why are we not taking that into consideration? Not necessarily suggesting that we should have weight classes in the games, but just saying that he feels like it's unfair or not unfair. How did he put it? He just feels like 1 rep max testing comes up way too often, considering those sports have weight classes.
Because you have to have a single 1 rep max for it to be a qualifying CrossFit Games, correct? Because obviously everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Oh, dear God.
Josh, you were the one that was just saying, like, I'm never mad at the programmer. I'm mad at myself.
No, I'm not I'm not mad at it. Obviously, I've competed in lots of games that had multiple 1 rep maxes in the workouts, and I don't care at all. I think it's just funny. It's funny because that's just part of the show. That's not actually part of. I don't think you're actually testing fitness legitimately if you're just doing 1 rep maxes. In the sense that
if you're not, no one's saying if you just.
I'm saying if you're looking at it in a perspective like, okay, we have to have these 1 rep maxes. We have to have them, right? Why are there weight classes in those style of workouts? Right? Because we know the biggest guys lift the biggest weights. Correct? Am I wrong?
Yeah, but
am I wrong? Am I wrong, yeah, Matt? Who lifts the heaviest weights in power? Who lifts the heaviest weights in Olympic weightlifting?
Oh yeah.
Yes, in Olympic weightlifting, who lifts the heaviest weights?
Yeah.
The biggest guys, right? The biggest guys, right?
Guys.
They're the guys. The heavyweights hold the records.
Yeah, we're not competing.
You're right, we're not. So why is there? So then, what's the point of having a 1 rep max and it's 100%? It's a sole 100-point event where it's a 1 rep max. Why is that an event at the CrossFit Games then?
The same reason why there's sprints.
Because what I'm saying is there's a reason. People's arguments. Hold on. People's arguments are always that, oh, we have to have those because they're big and sexy and the crowd likes to watch them. Correct. And I'm okay with it. I'm very much okay with it.
Also test.
Yeah. There's nothing. Can you test strength another way with just having a 1 rep max, a sole 1 rep max? Can you test strength that way?
Yeah, they test it.
You're right.
A lot of workouts.
You're right. I'm saying, but there's always the 1 rep max. Always. Am I wrong?
Yeah, and there's always a swim. There's always,
right. But they're typically, most of the time they're coupled with a few different things. That's
just like weightlifting. Most of the time it's coupled with a couple different
sometimes
things.
It is not almost every CrossFit Games there's been just a sole heavyweight movement? How many times has there been just like a soul gymnastics movement? A few, maybe a few,
I
maybe
mean,
a
I have to go
handful,
back and look. But like we've done like
maybe a
30.
handful.
We've done 30
Yeah,
muscle-ups
I'm
per
saying
time.
there's been a handful of them, maybe 3 or 4. But
We've done
how many
handstand
times
walks per time.
how many
We've
times
done-
has there been multiple heavy lifts in the CrossFit Games?
I don't
See, then,
fucking
yeah, you don't even know
know.
your own sport, bro.
Now, personally, I disagree with his thinking. I can see where he's coming from, but I think unless you are a devoted weightlifter or a devoted powerlifter, the weight classes don't matter because CrossFitters are all-rounders. None of them are putting up numbers that a dedicated weightlifter would put up. Oh, actually, Tia proved us wrong there, didn't she, when she won the Commonwealth Games? I guess some CrossFitters are putting up numbers that are pretty competitive, even in that kind of niche sport or space. But I still feel like because they are all-round athletes, I actually don't know. I feel like I disagree with Josh, but I can't quite articulate why I disagree with him. He didn't say that he was against all weightlifting. He just said that high-end Wonder Max testing he felt was not a fair test for a CrossFit competition because of that reason. And that there are no weight classes in things like running or gymnastics. Everyone competes together. But there must be a very good reason why in powerlifting and Olympic weightlifting there are weight classes. There's a reason for that to be there, and we shouldn't ignore that when we come over to CrossFit, and therefore we should just test submaximal or always include other movements or other modalities alongside weightlifting. So anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Should Wonder Max testing be a regular part of the CrossFit Games and maybe even the Open? I know in the Open in the past, I don't know how long ago was it, maybe it was 4 or 5 years ago, there was a Wonder Max clean and jerk after a workout, and I know that caused havoc on the leaderboard because a lot of stronger athletes kind of gamed it and just did the minimal work requirement. It might have been like one round of the workout, and then it just rested for the remainder of the workout, whether it was 10 minutes or 15 minutes. They just rested and then put up some really high numbers on the clean and jerk, which then really kind of threw the leaderboard off because the guys at the top that were going hard at the Metcon and then went hard at the weightlifting, they still didn't do anywhere near as well as those strong dudes who just rested. And therefore the gap on the leaderboard for that particular workout was completely skewed. And so in things like the Open, it can really throw off the leaderboard.
That was my point. I remember, I think I said this to Dave one time. I'm like, so you're going to tell me that, I think it was Kenny Leverage. I beat him in every single workout, and he out clean and jerked me by like 10 pounds or something. But he beat me because of that. And it was like, so you're telling me to your standard that Kenny Leverage is fitter than I am because he could clean and jerk 10 more pounds than me, but I beat him in every other workout in the Open. I'm like, that doesn't make much sense to me.
Oh, it sounds like you should like work on your weaknesses or something.
I tried my best.
Oh, Josh.
Well, if you did it as a Sinclair formula, I'm pretty sure I would have won. Just saying,
Yeah, there's no weight classes in CrossFit. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, exactly. That's why there shouldn't be single 1 rep max lifts. Just saying.
Then there shouldn't be single modality of running.
Why? There's no weight classes in running. There is not a weight class in running. You can go run as fast as you can, as much as you can. There is not a weight class in that sport. You show me a sport that doesn't like we can go back.
Okay, there's not a weight class, but there's a biased, an irrefutable bias in body composition.
Why?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like
you're
weight classes and weightlifting, it would be the same body type bias as like runners are long legs, super lean, lighter in weight. Weightlifters would just be the biggest guys. Little guys wouldn't even get into weightlifting.
Exactly. Right. So your point.
I feel like we're arguing the same thing, but for different reasons.
Maybe I'm just being stubborn. I don't know.
Oh, you definitely being stubborn. Definitely.
Josh Bridges is stubborn.
I don't believe
what?
it. I just think that exactly like we're a sport where there's where there's a weight class, there's a weight class for a reason. So,
what do you guys think about people who thank people on their Instagram?
So I would love to know your thoughts on this topic. Should there be Wonder Max testing in the Games, in the Open? Is there a time and a place for it? How often should it come up? Or should it be more sub-maximal tests, more like speed ladders or, 3 or 5 rep maxes alongside some cardio piece? Or is there validation for just pure Wonder Max testing? Obviously, it's good to watch. It's It's always exciting to watch the CrossFit Total and the 100 Max clean and jerks and snatches. But is that putting some athletes like Josh, some of the smaller athletes, at a disadvantage? I feel like the answer is no, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. And then just talking about the Open, Matt brings up the story in the podcast about thinking when he won the games one year, must have been the very first year he won the games, maybe it was 2015, I think it was. He won the games and someone had told him, or he had heard, that he would get paid for winning the Open, you know, and that makes sense to me. Like, you win a competition, you win the Open, surely there's a prize for it, you know. And he'd actually received a check from CrossFit, like a $2,000 check for winning a workout, but he was waiting for the actual payment for winning the Open, and it never came. And he actually ended up reaching out to CrossFit and saying, hey, I'm still waiting for my money, only to find out that there was no prize, there was no financial prize for the winner. What do you guys think of that? Because I actually think that the Open is extremely, extremely hard to win. And to win the Open, you have to be a very special human being. If you win 4 of the workouts in the Open and do terribly in the 5th, you've got no chance of winning the Open. One slip up outside, you know, the top 50 or top 100, and your chances of winning the Open is over. Even if you won the first 4 weeks and on the 5th week you have a terrible week, it's gone. So I feel like to win the Open, you've got to be an extremely, extremely well-rounded and very, very good athlete. And so it kind of makes sense that you would win a prize, a financial prize. But anyway, what do you guys think? Should you get some money for winning the Open? I mean, they pay the athletes who win the workouts each week. Surely if you get paid for winning a workout, you should also get paid for winning the whole thing. That's my thoughts, but what do you guys think? Team, that's it for today's video. Thanks for being here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give me a like and a comment. I love to engage with you guys down in the comments, so please do that. Go and check out Josh, Matt, and Savan's podcast. You won't be disappointed. If you love CrossFit, you'll find some real value. There's some really fun stuff in there. The dynamic between those three are awesome. A lot of banter, a lot of smack talk. And I look forward to hearing from you on these 2 topics. Should there be 100 max testing in the Open and the games? And should the winner of the Open get paid? And how much? How much should they get paid? Let me know down below. Other than that, keep roaring love, stay sexy, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah.
Add it up.